everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to Mindset Matters. I can't believe that we are already at the end of July. That just completely blows my mind. But I hope everybody's having a great summer. I hope you're all doing well and doing things that you truly love and being around people that make you happy. So today we're going to talk about self-awareness and recognizing patterns that keep you stuck. Okay. So what I have learned through my own personal journey is when I'm clear on where my obstacles are, I'm able to overcome those obstacles a lot easier. So today I'm going to give you tools, tips, and tricks and things that will help you to overcome some of these obstacles that you're being presented with that are keeping you stuck and preventing you from getting to the next step or the next level in your career, in your personal life, in whatever journey or whatever hiccups that you have currently in your life. So I want to ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself saying, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep attracting in the same situations? No matter how much I don't want something, it seems like it just keeps coming back to me more and more. Why do I know what I should do, but I don't do it? So I know what I should be doing, but I don't do it. I do sometimes the exact opposite. So if you are running those conversations in your mind on a regular basis, then you are in the right place because we're going to really dissect this. And it's not about what you're not aware of. It's about believing that the awareness is the first step in your freedom. You have to believe that being aware will get you past some of these challenges, because you can't change the pattern if you can't see it. It's just the way it is. So I will tell you that this has come up in my life on so many different scenarios and different seasons and different journeys. And until you are aware of what needs to be changed or what you need to do next, you're always going to stay on that hamster wheel. So we're going to talk about what exactly self-awareness is and how to identify at least 4 of the patterns that most people go through on a regular basis. So self-awareness isn't simply knowing your strengths and weaknesses, okay? It's also understanding that these are your automatic thoughts. They run through your mind on a regular basis, day in and day out. These are your emotional reactions, your beliefs, your habits, the way you identify yourself. Most of your decisions aren't conscious. Most of your decisions are automated, okay? We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our programming. I'm going to say that again. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our programming, okay? So our brain loves efficiency. Once something becomes familiar, it creates a pattern, whether it's good or bad, but it's familiar. And because it's familiar, it keeps going back to what it knows, okay? And eventually, that pattern will feel like, who am I? When really, it's just something we've practiced. You see, we have something called the reticular activating system, and it's the bridge between your conscious and your subconscious mind. And whatever we feed the reticular activating system, whatever we prove to be important, will then trickle down to your subconscious, and your subconscious will say, okay, well, that's something that they talk about, and that's something that they bring up to the surface on a daily basis, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day. So it must be really important to them. So I'm going to give them more of that. So if it's negative beliefs, or if it's limiting beliefs, or if it's all this negative talk that you are not worthy, what's going to happen is you're going to continue to see things in your external that prove to your subconscious that that is how you feel. So it's changing that internal dialogue so that you start feeding your subconscious with what I call the good stuff, and the stuff that you truly want to have in your life. So you have to change that internal dialogue. That is step one. And the way you change that internal dialogue is being familiar and conscious of all of those negative thoughts that happen throughout the course of the day. So a great way to do this is when you're sitting and you're working, and all of a sudden something pops into your mind, and it's, oh, I knew I wasn't going to get that job. I knew I wasn't going to get that promotion. I knew I wasn't going to get that opportunity because I just am not good enough. How many times has that happened to you? When you hear that in your mind, you have to hit the delete button. You have to stop that internal dialogue right in its tracks and say, no. Turn that dialogue around and say, I am more than worthy. I am more than capable. I am more than able to have those amazing things, that career, that opportunity, that promotion, whatever it is, come to me. Because I have the ability to be as successful as I choose to be. Okay? So it's a matter of identifying it right at its track. Okay? There's a lot of great tools that you can use for this. I build subliminal recordings for my clients that really help to feed your subconscious with positive dialogue and affirmations. So whenever they're having a specific hurdle or challenge within their life, we're able to reprogram the subconscious with believing that they already have what they truly desire. Because Delulu is the Solulu. Believing you already have the outcome that you truly desire and you're already living in your wish fulfilled is how you get to the other end and the other side of this. Because what'll happen is your subconscious is like a little genie in a bottle. Your wish is my command. So whatever you keep feeding it is what it's going to bring. Okay, so it's really good to, if you're stuck and you have a hard time consciously identifying those subconscious thoughts or stopping them in its tracks, then subliminal recordings are the way to do that. And we're going to have all of my information here, so you could reach out to me. You could take my free identity assessment and work through the process, and we can start building subconscious programs specifically for your challenges. Another pattern that comes up a lot is I'm not enough. Okay. This happens a lot of time during a breakup, or when you get let go from a position, and it'll show up in a very odd way. You'll start to seek perfectionism. You'll start to overwork. You'll start to people please. You'll have this fear of speaking up or using your voice because you're afraid that anything that you say or do isn't going to be enough. Okay? That pattern is very, very, very specific, because what happens is you're afraid of failure. You're afraid of failure. So you will procrastinate. You'll have endless learning. You just keep trying to find tools and ways to build your expertise because you don't think you have enough already built. Okay. You're going to always wait for the perfect time to execute, and you'll do this amazing analysis paralysis, which is like literally living on the hamster wheel. So that is a pattern that comes up a lot when you are in a place of fear, and fear of failure is the biggest time that this really starts to come up. Another pattern that people see is fear of success. Now, some of you might say, well, why would you be afraid of being successful? Well, what would actually change if I succeeded? Am I not going to be able to handle the pressure of being successful? Will there be new expectations? Will I be too visible? I don't want to be visible. I don't want people to see me, right? All these crazy things start going through your head. More responsibility. Oh my gosh. Like losing relationships because you are so successful now that you're not able to, have time for the people that you used to have time for. Think about it. Sometimes being really successful can be scary. So your subconscious, again, is going to want to protect what's familiar, your safe space, living under the radar just enough. Because if I move to the next level, I'm going to have more responsibility, maybe more travel, maybe more visibility, maybe things that I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for, because I like this comfort zone, because it's familiar to me. It might not be the money I want to make. It might not be the place I want to be. It might bring me a lot of stress, but that stress that I feel is familiar. That's why people stay in jobs that they are miserable in, because they understand that misery is going to be familiar to them day in and day out. They already understand. They already know what's there. And they're afraid to put themselves out there for something bigger and better, because that is scary. That is the unfamiliar, right? Another pattern is the victim thinking. And this isn't about blaming people per se. It's about recognizing the language. They make me feel blank, or I can't because of blank. If only this would change, then I could do this. So this one has always, in my mind, has always been a way out of looking at yourself in the mirror. When you blame somebody else for how you feel, then you're giving yourself a free pass. I feel this way because they did this to me, right? I feel this way because, they weren't holding up their end of the bargain. I feel this way because my boss is demanding and overwhelming. I feel this way because my spouse puts me down every day. I feel this way because my children are difficult. I feel this way because of somebody else. Well, I have a news flash for you. You feel this way because you have chosen to feel that way. You have made a conscious decision because you are constantly feeding your subconscious with ways to get out of situations that you don't want to deal with or that you want to pass over to somebody else. Nobody can make you feel any way that you don't want to feel. Sure, things happen. Life changes. People come and go from your life. But you have to take responsibility for your place in that process. Not just what they did, but what did you do? What was your place? Because it always takes two to tango. Doesn't matter what it is. There's always a yin and a yang. There's always two pieces to the puzzle. Always. So what was your position in that process that made things go south? And when you start to identify these things and realize that, yes, things have happened, circumstances have happened, but I get to choose every single day, every single moment of my life on how I feel, what I can tolerate, and what I choose not to. And that's where inner work comes into place. You know, I could tell you many stories about how easy it would have been for me to blame other people for things that have happened in my life. So many, professionally, personally. And there was a time where I used to use that mechanism to give myself a free pass, because passing the buck is so much easier than looking in the mirror. But when I started to identify my place in every role of relationships and relationships that have gone south, relationships that haven't worked out, I realized that I definitely had a place in that. We all do. Okay. And no matter how hard people are, or how mean people are to you, or how unfortunate or unfair things are, because there's a lot of that. Okay. You can choose every single day how you decide to handle your day and how you decide to live your life. It's truly up to you, not up to anybody else. You know, there's people in this world that have a lot of unfortunate things happening, but they have a grateful heart. And that gratitude and the little blessings that they see every single day turn into enormous blessings in their life. So that's what we're going to talk about for the last few minutes is, yes, we can look at all of these things. We could be afraid of success, fear of failure. We can blame people for other things that have happened. We can do all of those things. But if we don't appreciate what is around us, then we are always going to stay stuck. We are always going to feel like what ball is going to drop next. So the best way and easiest way to start changing your internal dialogue is simply to show gratitude the first minute you wake up and when you hit the pillow at night, every single day. I am grateful for all of my blessings, and get very specific. So write down some of the things that you are grateful for and repeat them every morning and before you go to bed. And then start writing down things that you are grateful for that haven't happened yet. But the key is to write them as if they did. So if you are working really hard for a promotion, start writing down, I am so grateful that I received this promotion. And get granular, get detailed. Visualize yourself walking into that new office, starting your day, all the things. What's going to happen is you're going to feel something inside of you that lights you up. You're going to feel a sense of joy. You're going to feel a sense of happiness. The more you do it, it's going to start to change how you feel each and every day and how you look at life. Are you a half full or half empty type of person right now? Statistics show that over 70% of people, probably more at this point, are half empty. But this is how you change it to being half full, to looking at all the positive things that you have in your life. What is lighting you up? Even if they're small. Even if it's you're breathing and you opened your eyes and you're here for another day. It changes everything. And it's healing. Physically healing and mentally healing. Because statistics show that mindset work can actually help change your DNA physically. But you have to do it. You have to be intentional each and every day. And there are days where it's very difficult to find something to be grateful for. Last year was a hard year for me. I had 2 people that I lost that were very, very important to me, my father and my grandmother, within months of each other. I had just left corporate America. I was starting my entrepreneurial journey. I was busy as can be. And I had many days where it was difficult for me to find something to be grateful for because I felt like a punching bag. But I did. Every single day I found something. And as time went on, it was easier to find things that I was grateful for. And then my mindset started to change. Then the way I looked at life started to change. Then those negative thoughts that I used to have started to be less and less. I started to be more aware of them, and I was able to correct my internal dialogue quickly. I started to listen to subliminal recordings that I made for myself. Same ones I make for my clients. And things had changed, and they can change for you. So I want to ask you to do a little exercise. Whenever you have time, you could pause this because you're probably going to watch it on a recording. But do this because it's really effective. So I want you to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to write down these 3 questions. And I want you to be really honest with yourself when you're answering them. Okay? What thought do I repeat most often? So I want you to start, if you don't know, I want you to start really listening to your internal dialogue. And when you start to identify it, I want you to write it down. Okay? What thought do I repeat in my mind most often? What emotion do I feel most frequently? Fear, anxiety, resentment, guilt, overwhelm? What's the fear that you feel most often? That's question number 2. And question number 3, how does that emotion influence my decisions. You see, this, number 3, is where awareness becomes most powerful. Because that's going to tell you exactly what's holding you back and keeping you stuck. That one question. Then I want you to change the dialogue and ask yourself, if someone secretly recorded your thoughts for 1 week, what identity would they assume you have? Think about that. If somebody listened to your internal thoughts for 1 week, what identity would they assume you have? Would they think that you were someone who was fearful of failure, fearful of success, insecure, didn't believe in themselves? Think about that. What would they think? Somebody who doesn't know you, but was able to listen to your thoughts day in and day out. What would they think? That question is so powerful and really identifies where you are stuck. This is not something that you can't change. People change this day in and day out, but it takes work. So, Scott, if you could put down my information down below, I would love for anybody who is on today to take my free assessment. This identifies your personality, where you are in the big bad world of identity assessments. So it gives you an idea of your strong points, your weakest areas, your most successful areas, and then it helps you to identify what language works best for your personality. So take the free assessment. There's only 17 questions. And then if you really want to dive deep, you can take the DMR birth blueprint, which will give you all the tools to understand your subconscious mind. And it'll give you ideas and awareness on how to change it. Set up a session with me if you're open to it. And then we could really dissect. We could build tailored meditations and subliminals specifically for you. And if you haven't already, check out myfuel.io. It is an amazing site. Fuel has some of the top instructors on there. You have a 7-day free trial. You could check things out. I have guided meditations on there specifically for business professionals or moms that are challenged with so many things that they are doing on a daily basis. Subliminal recordings are on there as well. There's also incredible sales tools. So check it out. It is a 7-day free trial. I highly recommend it. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful week and you end the month of July strong. And I will see you again soon. Take care.